I'm going to do an insight video today. I think there's a massive amount of shifting going on. I know I keep saying this. As we start to move into source energy, things are changing and shifting. Um, how we sort of experience reality, how we experience, our own reality and the outer reality and universal reality and reality is what I really want to sort of like talk about. And as you can see already, as I'm starting to go into this insight today, I'm using the word reality a lot. So that to me straight away is telling me that the guides or the universal beings and the teachers, the guides, the masters are talking and very much sort of focused on reality at the moment, as it should be, because with source and this creator aspect of being, as we start to move into that, it's all about reality. Everything's about reality. You've got dimensional realities, you've got dimensional shifts, you've got dimensional sort of, when I say like reality, I mean like dimensional experiences, beings, and there's so much going on the planet at the moment. It's a lot about light at the moment. I'm getting a lot around light at the moment. I was shifted and directed to light workers yesterday, and it's not a term that I necessarily talk about a lot, or I necessarily sort of like investigate a lot. But yesterday, sort of, and again today, I feel like a massive shift in my own consciousness, a massive shift in my own experience, in the sense of, I feel like I know this is before, but I feel like I am light in this sense. And source energy is very much around that. It's very much when you start to awaken and activate that light within yourself and within your own being again. And being's an important word again, because it's not self. It is self, but being is the word. When you start talking about being, it's a multi-dimensional aspect of self. A multi-dimensional being. And being is about this. Being is existing and existing in many aspects, in many realities at once. And this is what beingness is about to me. Beingness isn't just about being. It goes far beyond that, and that's how I feel it wants to be sort of explained within spiritual terms. Light workers yesterday, I was sort of like I go on like audio, and I subscribe to it, and a lot of the time I listen to audio books and about sort of like different things I'm directed to, or I feel like I'm sort of connected to. And like yesterday it was light workers, and I've never really thought about this very much, in a sense of what is a light worker, what kind of experiences they have. And there was a lady I was listening to yesterday about light workers, and she was talking about sort of awakening spiritual gifts, where awakening spiritual qualities, where you can start to be psychic, healing, all that kind of stuff. But the main thing that really sort of like impacted me yesterday when she was talking about light workers is light workers have chosen to come down here, which I know we all have, but in that sense that you've chosen here to bring the light, and you've chosen here to be here, like to be a beacon, where you're here to shine light, to dissolve, and to sort of bring this light and come back to this physical sort of reality and this physical sort of dimension of spiritual experience, to shift the planet, but and that's why you've come. And part of this sort of like makes sense to me, because I feel there's a lot of us that are walking around, and as I speak about this, I feel like there's light shining out of my heart center, and I feel like it's connecting to all everybody else's light as well. So I know this, that when I'm talking about that this is very much that as a light worker, you come down here, you come back and you make a choice to be here, but you make a choice to be here for like the greater good, for like the shifting of collective consciousness, the shifting of humanity, the shifting of the planet. You've come down from here, but you've been in the realms of light. You've been in the realms of the spiritual realms, where you're completely connected. You're completely sort of at one, and you're in complete harmony. And then you've chosen to come down here, to incarnate and come back to this physical reality. But again, this makes again a lot of sense to me, because as I start to sort of like connect into the energy and I start to move back, I feel that the impression then, this is what the masters are doing, this is what the angels are doing, this is what the terrestrials are doing, this is what all these beings are doing, this is what the collectives are doing. Their consciousness, their energies, their light, are very much around us and very much with us. I mean, yesterday I felt like I went to work yesterday and I was sitting there, and I was walking around the building and I was just thinking, and I had a really strong impression that I needed to start bringing in the light, like creating sort of like this a sacred space of light, of energy for sort of like the energies to be around, and I needed to call in like universal beings and universal beings of light. And I feel this is very much sort of like what we need to do as well. We need to awaken as this creator aspect of self, where we're connected in source, that we can shift and change reality. But that creator aspect is also about using your light and your energy in a way that you start to dissolve lower frequencies that are obviously affecting you, but also dissolve and bring in that, like the highest frequency and the highest light energies that you can, for for the planet, for wherever you are, you have that ability, that power, to activate light, activate energy, and bring it in, and bring those beings of light and those energy frequencies. You can sort of like manifest them, you can embody them here. And this is what this time's about, and this is what I feel like I want to talk about, and this is why reality is really, really important at the moment, and that's about shifting it. It's about creating, I've said this before, about creating your own, like, I feel like in Atlantis and Lemuria, when we go back to that time, we sort of like, we didn't sort of like create our own energy fields in a sense, but we did, because I feel like this is what I feel when I'm talking about this, is that, to create your own energy field. And once you create an energy field of harmony, and of that light energy, those light frequencies, what happens then is whatever comes close to those energies is dissolved. Any kind of negativity, any kind of effect, you can dissolve it. But it's also, once you create those energy fields, you also then can like harmonize with other people's energy. And when you start to harmonize with other people's energy, you can also then start to read, and align and integrate with them. But you can also help with their energies, with your light, your energies, to start to sort of like align with them, and help to activate and awaken them as well. And this is what this time's about. There's millions and millions of us that are going through this shift at the moment, as these light energies, these light frequencies start to really harmonize and start to really integrate within the planet, and the core of the planet and the being of the planet. Then we will start to sort of awaken to them. The more I see this, the more I connect into it, the more I see us disappear as a human being. I see us become more as a light being, and we start to just like walk around with that vibration, that frequency. And again, this is like the universal laws of vibration, frequency, the universal law of transmutation and transformation. And I really feel this, I really feel this today. The last couple of days, my practice has been to literally just walk around and just vibrate as that light, vibrate as light. And it's very much, it's like a very different kind of way of being, because one, you sort of like the outer world is then being sort of like created, and it's been aligned with your inner world in that sense, because your vibration, your frequency of light, you're expressing it. Again, I love that word, expressing it. You're expressing your light, and when you express your light, then you create this kind of light reality in the external world. And this is a reality where you start to sort of like awaken to your light and your energy, and that you can use that light and that energy, one to anchor energies down, from the multi-dimensional realities into the planet. But you can also anchor them into around yourself, where you create this kind of energy field. And what I meant by that is, when I was talking about Atlantis in the past, I've read things and stuff where things were very much created through crystals and crystal like energies and energy fields. And when they were sort of like in their light and their energy and their creator aspect of self, they could materialize things instantly using their energy, but they could also look at each other, and they could see within their energy fields. They could look at within their spiritual or look within each other's energy fields, and they could see what was out of balance, and they could heal it. And I feel like these kind of qualities and these kind of gifts that were in Atlantis and Lemuria are very much sort of like accessible now. And this is what the big shift is to me. This is what the big shift is going. But it also, when I was like, I look around sometimes, and I go through my daily life, and I go to work, and work is stressful, work is this and that, and then I look at, and many people talk about purpose, and they talk about awakening. But there's a huge amount of discussion around manifestation and the law of attraction. And like I said, I've been listening to somebody that I am Leanne Rose, who talks about six-dimensional manifestation, and talks about your creator aspect of self. We're all talking about manifestation again, but it's also there's a human side to it, where we're still walking around in a physical world, but we're still attached to those three-dimensional realities, because it's still about money, and it's still about trying to create money. And it's not about that. It should be about sort of like the exchange of energy, the exchange of energy. The universe works on giving and receiving. I mean, the problem is we're in a 3D reality where money and bills and houses and mortgages and things like that are very much sort of like still very real, but they're all external things. They're still sort of stuff that we're still sort of being connected to. And I think this is where I struggle with spiritual sort of like work, and spiritual sort of like when people become spiritual teachers, or they become spiritual mystics, or they become spiritual healers. It all comes down to money. People are charging these massive prices, and I really struggle with that. I really struggle with that, because the light and the energy, and if you're in flow with the universe, things will flow in, and opportunities and experiences will come in, and all of that starts from anchoring it in, anchoring that energy in, and then start to sort of like things will flow from there. But I've always struggled with that. I've always struggled with that kind of concept. When you look around and somebody's doing some fantastic work, but then you look around and they're charging £2,000 to go along for a retreat. To me, many people don't have that money. They don't have £2,000 to spend, and it's a big investment. It's a big investment, and I know these people that create these courses would say, well, there needs to be belief, and what's worthwhile investing in your life if not your own spiritual journey. But I also believe that many of us have the potential and have the energy and the light within each and every one of us, that we can activate it ourselves, and it just takes work. It takes work, and not one person holds the key. And people that do tell you they've got these spiritual sort of models that will absolutely work. They worked for them, but they're not necessarily going to work for everybody else. And and this is no sort of like dig at anybody or anything like that. I don't mean it like that. But I have struggled for a long time as I go through this, because at one stage I was thinking about doing sort of spiritual coaching and spiritual things like that. But it's about what do you charge, and it's like, and then it's very hard with the balance of the intention of the energy, and the fact that we're all here as spiritual beings with source energy and light energy, and light energy magnifies in it, and it builds, and it sort of like vibrates more and more the more it connects, and the more it it vibrates, and the more it sort of like integrates, and it anchors in with everybody else. So for me, there's always that kind of balance, and I think that's the key word, is you need to find the balance. And for me, sort of like with everything, it's about intention. What is your intention? Are you out there? And if you're truly your intention is to truly sort of like to help people grow and help people expand and help people truly live in their light and live in their energy and express their light and their energy in a way that truly sort of like helps to bring the energies and anchor the energies in, but also to really sort of like align with others, then that's a great place. And if you're coming from a heart-centered energy, then the place you're coming from is a place of giving, and you will receive from that. But yeah, so this time is very much around anchoring. It's very much around anchoring energy in, and I feel sort of like in my own practice, it's very much about embodying stuff, and when I mean embodying, I mean really living it, and that means waking up every day as like this light, this energy, and you know harmonizing with it, expressing it in every aspect of your lives, and into light is your reality. Light is your vibration. Light is your frequency. And it doesn't mean you're going to lose that human self, because you're still in a physical body. But what this sort of like the notion of sort of like being light workers and awakening to that is awakening you to your gifts and your abilities, and whatever you've got, and then using them for the collective, using them for the planet, using them for all beings, and connecting to all beings, the different guides, the angels, the masters, and really sort of like anchoring it in, because that's what this time's about, is really anchoring in that energy. Mother Earth needs it, we all need it, and when we start to awaken to our own channels, and then we'll start to express it and create, but also expressing create as more spiritual reality, but we'll also create a more sort of like harmonized and aligned reality for the planet and for each other, and we'll start to shift and change our intentions and how we use our light and our energy. So this time's very much around that. But yeah, and like I said, that this video is about no criticism on anybody else. I'm just saying, I'm talking about my own experiences, and this video, this channel has always been about my own experiences and my own thoughts, and I share them with you honestly and truthfully. For me, that there's a balance to that, and it's just like no one person or no one one being can really shift if we're not all aligned, if we're not all connected, if we're not all moving, if we're not all vibrating, we're not all shifting and changing. Now, we're all shifting and changing on different frequencies, and also at different aspects depending on our own journeys, and we're all awakening at different times. But the key thing is we're all part of one vibration and one frequency, and the awakening is for all beings. It's not for one being, it's for all beings, and that is what Source is about. Source is for all beings. Also this time, I feel is very much shifting and changing on many different facets and aspects of spiritual source energy. I talk about light workers one day, I'm talking about creative beings the next day, then I'm talking about manifestation, then I'm talking about angels, then I'm talking about the planet. And this time is very much around that. This time's very much around the diversity as well of it, because there's so many of us. And again, this is about us. The more we awaken, the more we start to bring our own sort of individual aspect of that whole picture, that whole sort of like that whole so each and every one of us holds a piece of as each soul and each being that's come down here, we all hold a piece of that, the infinite picture, the infinite design, and each and every one of us is about us awakening to that. And once we find that piece, then we put it in place, and once we put that piece in place, then somebody else puts a piece in place, and before you know it, this is what starts to build the new reality, the new expression of light and energy on the planet, as we start to move through this shifting and changing. So that's the reading for today. I hope you enjoyed it anyway. The reading, the insight. Go out there, express your light, embody it, anchor it. See how you can anchor your own light and your energy. Pick up, see if you get any kind of sensitivity or any feelings around anybody else. And if you do, and you start to feel them, then sort of express your energy and your light in an outcome to try and help activate them. This could be through sending healing. This could be just by sharing some kind words. This could be many different ways. Check out my Facebook page, and also subscribe, and also please comment. Anybody else got any kind of sort of like comments on anchoring or light workers or shifting or or even sort of spiritual teachers or anything, just, please share. I'm happy to talk about any of those subjects. Have a great day.